There was a time in America where journalists there was a time in America where being a journalist meant something. Not morally perfect, not unbiased robots, but there was at least a social agreement that reality mattered. Now, half the country thinks every headline is propaganda, and the other half only trust information if it comes from somebody they already emotionally agree with. And somewhere between cable news, Twitter threads, podcasts, reaction content, live stream debates, influencer politics, AI generated misinformation, and billion-dollar outrage algorithms, America stopped reading the news, said fuck it, and started joining fandoms. Because journalism in America didn't die in one dramatic moment. It just got Uber Eats into irrelevance, slowly, conveniently, algorithmically. And I know that sounds dramatic, but look around. People used to argue over facts. Now people argue over realities. That's different. There was a time where the nightly news with Dan Rathers was treated like information. Now everything feels like a season finale. Everybody's yelling, reacting, crashing out. Everybody's going live. And the scariest part, most people can't tell the difference anymore between journalism, entertainment, propaganda, marketing, activism, branding, and performance. It all blends together like one giant content smoothie made in hell. And honestly, the death of journalism may have accidentally created the dumbest and most emotionally reactive era in modern American history. Because once news becomes entertainment, everything changed. Journalists stopped competing for the truth and started competing for attention, which is dangerous because attention has no morals. Fear keeps people watching, anger keeps people engaged, outrage keeps people sharing, and nuance gets skipped after 3 seconds. America didn't just create the 24-hour news cycle. America created emotional subscription services. Cable news figured out something terrifying. People will watch conflict longer than they'll watch understanding. And once ratings got involved, politics stopped feeling like the civil responsibility and started feeling like sports. Red team versus blue team, talking points, highlights, debates, clips, dunks, humiliations. You can literally hear ESPN DNA inside of today's politics coverage. And then the internet arrived like gasoline in a fireworks factory because social media didn't democratize information, it flattened expertise. Now everybody's a journalist, an analyst, a war correspondent because they stitched the TikTok together over dramatic piano music. Verification died and virality replaced it. And now misinformation spreads faster than corrections because emotionally satisfying lies move quicker than the boring truth. That's the algorithm. Modern Americans don't research information, they audition it emotionally. If it sounds good, looks cinematic, and confirms what they already wanted to believe, approved. And this is where things mutate into something even darker: stand culture. Because the death of journalism didn't damage politics, it damaged comprehension itself. People no longer follow public figures, they defend them like family members. Criticisms become hate, accountability becomes cancel culture, disagreements become you're jealous. And suddenly, politicians started getting treated like rappers, rappers like prophets, influencers like therapists, podcasters like spiritual leaders, and billionaires became anime characters people project themselves onto. We created a society where people will fact check the stranger harder than they'll fact check the millionaire they worship. Because once somebody becomes part of your identity, criticism feels personal. That's not citizenship. That's fandom. And the internet rewards fandom because fandom is profitable. A fan doesn't want truth. A fan wants emotional validation. That's why people defend celebrities they've never met harder than their own family members. That's why somebody can lose their mind over criticism of a politician, streamer, rapper, influencer that they'll never speak to in real life because modern identity is no longer built around community or truth. It's solely built around consumption. What do you watch? What do you stream? Who do you listen to? What ideology do you subscribe to? What aesthetic do you perform online? Everybody is branding themselves now. Everybody. Politicians act like streamers, streamers like journalists, journalists like influencers, influencers like activists, activists like corporations, and corporations tweet like unemployed people with podcast equipment. Social media didn't create narcissism, it industrialized it. Now everybody has a personal PR department, and it's called their followers. And because everybody's performing, comprehension started collapsing. Not intelligence, comprehension. People read headlines and react emotionally before reading the article. People watch clips stripped of context and build entire world views around them. People don't consume information anymore, they consume interpretation. Every story now comes packaged with who to blame, who to hate, what side to pick, and what emotion you're supposed to feel before you even finish that headline. And if you notice, most modern discourse sounds less like a discussion and more like people protecting emotional investments. Nobody wants to be wrong anymore because being wrong online feels like social death. So instead of learning, people double down. That's why conspiracy theories flourish. And that's why rage bait works. And outrage influencers thrive. Because anger is easier than understanding. Understanding requires humility. And humility doesn't trend. The algorithm rewards certainty, even fake certainty. Fuck, even especially fake certainty. And now we live in a world where a teenager with dramatic lighting and royalty-free music can emotionally manipulate millions of people faster than an actual investigative journalist with 20 years of experience. That should terrify everybody. And maybe the saddest part in all of this is that people don't even realize how much this has changed them psychologically. People don't talk anymore, they perform. People don't debate anymore, they posture. People don't read anymore, they react. Everybody's building audiences instead of perspectives. And journalism, actual journalism, the kind that takes time, sourcing, verification, accountability, patience, investigation, and context, that kind of journalism moves too slowly for modern capitalism. Because truth is slow, but outrage is instant. Maybe journalism didn't die. Maybe it just got absorbed, digested by algorithms, reshaped by capitalism, filtered through performance, and repackaged as content because the scariest part isn't the fake news. It's that millions of people no longer want the truth unless it entertains them.